From the people who help you know your competition, InteliChek presents the Multi-Point Inspection Podcast. The Multi-Point Inspection Podcast brings you news and stories from the automotive world told in an informative and entertaining way. Previously on the Multi-Point Inspection Podcast. On September 27, 2021, Ford officially announced Blue Oval City to the world, a $5.6 billion mega campus that will sit on 3,600 acres and will create around 6,000 jobs.
Today we're announcing the largest investment in American manufacturing in the history of our company.
So Dylan here, I showed him one time how to use this computer to program a car. They catch on a lot quicker than I did. Obviously, I caught on a lot quicker than the generation before me did, right? I don't think the EV stuff's going to be a problem at all. I think they're going to be used to it. It's where they are.
The position itself, the technician, has gotten massively more complicated, right? The technology has evolutionized over the last even year, but it continues to put pressure on us. And I think what I've noticed anyways, is that it did feel like we took our eye off the ball. We weren't focused on getting people through training, weren't focused on getting involved with schools. And in some cases, I think we were fat and happy the way it was.
According to a February 2022 article from Reuters, in the United States, only 1% of the 250 million cars, SUVs, and light trucks on the road are electric. The article went on to say that the changeover will be slow because only 17 million new vehicles are sold each year. And a Pew Research Center survey from June of 2022 revealed that half of adults surveyed stated they are unlikely to seriously consider purchasing an electric vehicle.
Concerns linger among auto industry insiders that consumers are still skittish about buying EVs.
We really want to hear from those customers because we think we can address all of that skeptic.
Vehicle ranges are improving, but charging an EV still takes a lot longer than filling a gas tank, and many areas don't have a lot of charging stations, especially when compared with the number of gas stations.
But with countries around the world pledging to reduce carbon emissions, tax incentives for the purchase of EVs, and U.S. automakers ramping up EV design and production, it appears that electric vehicles are on the way.
Leaders in Washington are trying to bring domestic manufacturing jobs back after a 40-year-long cycle of decline.
American auto companies, along with American labor, are committing their treasure and their talent to make electric vehicles all across America.
All right, so you're in the market for an EV, hoping for a tax credit. It used to be you get a nice fat $7,500 check for one. Now it's a bit different.
There's a battle right now, and whether the companies want to admit it or the states want to admit it, like Michigan, they are battling for investments in automotive like they've never had to do before.
In January 2021, General Motors made a stunning announcement. It aspires to eliminate tailpipe emissions from new light-duty vehicles by 2035, meaning that GM intends to stop selling gas-burning cars.
The numbers get a little fuzzy depending on who you listen to. But a Car and Driver article from August 2022 stated that according to an Automotive News report, electric vehicle registrations in the U.S. increased 60% in the first quarter of 2022, even though new car registrations overall dropped 18%.
You're watching Auto News Now. I'm Kristen Strakalaitis. On today's episode, Jamie Butters, host of the Daily Drive podcast, sat down with Automotive News reporter Lawrence Iliff. They talked about surging EV registration numbers in the United States.
On March 2nd, 2022, Ford Motor Company made a major announcement.
From Ford Motor Company today, the automaker planning to split its business into two units, one that focuses on the traditional internal combustion engine and another that focuses on battery electric vehicles.
We've decided to create two separate auto businesses. Ford Blue, that'll focus on our internal combustion engine vehicles like Bronco and F-150, and Ford Model E, which will focus on connected digital vehicles.
And just a little over 4 months later, Ford made the news again.
More job cuts, this time at Ford. 8,000 job cuts to help fund investments in the electric vehicle department. This is a shift. This is the ongoing movement from combustion engine to electric vehicle. The eliminations, they say, will come in the newly created Ford Blue unit, which is responsible for producing internal combustion engine vehicles.
And surprisingly, my state of Tennessee has become an electric vehicle manufacturing powerhouse, with over 191,000 EVs produced since 2013. Making it the number one state in the Southeast for EV manufacturing with 4 major OEMs, with the Volkswagen ID4 in Chattanooga.
Well, Volkswagen Chattanooga has completed its rollout of the ID4, its first all-electric vehicle.
The Nissan Leaf in Smyrna.
It really probably goes back to Nissan.
In 2013, the first electric car rolled off the assembly line at Nissan's plant in Smyrna, the first spark of an electric revolution in Tennessee.
The Cadillac Lyriq in Spring Hill.
Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. General Motors launching production of its first ever electric vehicle, the Cadillac Lyriq.
Hey, Rochelle. So GM kicking off their EV production at this updated plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. They're building the new Lyriq EV, which is an SUV.
And of course, the upcoming yet-to-be-announced F-Series Ford electric truck being manufactured in Haywood County in West Tennessee.
If you've driven on I-40 through Haywood County recently, it's hard not to see the major progress of Ford Blue Oval City rising off the highway.
The amount of dollars that automakers are investing in EV production is staggering, and we'll get into those numbers after the break.
So we have got your promotional material in our store, and I've kept track. I've had 13 different customers come to me who were in for regular repairs and say, oh my gosh, I want to get my oil changed because I did not realize that your price was cheaper than Jiffy Lube. I didn't realize your price was cheaper than Walmart. And, people didn't know. And it helped us gain some business that we weren't getting before.
Chris has been with Chevrolet for over 22 years and is talking about InteliChek's InteliShare series. InteliShare contains all of our promotional tools that you can use to promote your favorable prices, including our Intella ads, the printable flyers that you can show off in easel displays, Intella Media for your digital media boards, and Intella widgets, so you can show off price comparisons on your website and even let your customers schedule from the widget. This is how you upsell your customers without hard selling them.
I placed 2 placards in the business center so they could see that while they're over there working on computers. Also placed it in our coffee area. We have a glass wall there, so when they walk in, as they're putting their creamer and sugar in their coffee, they're going to look up and see the pricing for our pricing as well as our competitors.
Call 877-827-7273 or go to InteliChek.com to find out more about how the InteliShare series can help you grow your business. In October of 2022, Reuters reported that $1.2 trillion will be spent through 2030 from the world's top automakers on EV production. It's early yet, but it is apparent that this is where the industry is headed. And because it's early, there are obvious challenges that need to be addressed, like battery life.
Batteries are pretty expensive. In fact, they are the most expensive component in your electric car. So they need to last as long as possible because a battery replacement is majorly expensive and could be a lot of work. You could be charged up to $7,000.
The grid.
Can the electric grid in the United States handle the onrush of EVs that are coming? It's a pretty popular contention that it can't, but I decided I would look into it.
The amount of time to charge.
Refilling a petrol or diesel car is a fast process and one that many of us will be familiar with. Even factoring in the compulsory selection of chocolate bars while queuing to pay, you'll be in and out in 5 minutes. Topping up an EV isn't quite that brisk yet, but charging speeds are getting quicker all of the time.
Range per charge.
If you're considering buying an EV, the biggest mistake you might be about to make is obsessing too much on range. Sure, long-range EVs do appeal to our sense of worst-case edge scenarios. But do you really need to go that far on a charge?
Where to charge?
Today I want to talk about the charging situation for drivers who live in multifamily housing. And I want to speak both to the drivers and potential drivers in this situation and landlords.
Grad student Victor Tran loves his electric car.
There's no oil change, no transmission stuff. Like, it's really nice.
The only problem is finding a charger on campus.
I drove up to where I usually might charge. Looks like all the spots are full. It's really annoying that there's no spots.
And vehicle affordability.
Bang for your buck, are EVs really all that affordable? If I'm in a low income bracket, if I'm a single mom, it's going to be difficult for me to afford a $9,800 vehicle. Also, that's an 11-year-old vehicle. Well, maybe a newer one. Oh, 10-year-old? $20,000.
The maybe not as obvious challenges have to do with what this means for the auto repair industry.
After a decades-long shortage of auto technicians, businesses are keen to attract a new generation of workers excited about electric cars or automated driving technology. Those complexities have made it more difficult for a shop to operate if it's not running properly, if it's not properly funded, not properly insured, doesn't have the correct tooling, doesn't have the right insurance, says Lucas Underwood, the North Carolina shop owner.
What about training the workforce that will work at the assembly plants and repairing these vehicles? What does this mean for the tech shortage crisis? Will this hurt or help?
That's 28-year-old assembly line worker Jalen Jones, who's in the middle of his 11-hour shift. He used to work on America's best-selling vehicle, the gas-powered F-150. But demand for its slick new electric counterpart, the Lightning, is so high, Ford has been retraining workers like Jones to help ramp up production.
Especially today, you've got just a worker shortage in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you've got a technician shortage.
Yes.
And then when it comes to EVs, I can't imagine what the shortage looks like. What are there, like 4 technicians on the planet?
Do electric vehicles have enough of the cool factor to attract the younger generation of technicians?
Is it an issue if too many technicians want to go the EV route and then there just aren't enough working on the internal combustion engine?
Will they also be working on the millions of internal combustion vehicles that will still be on the road for some time to come? Will the more seasoned techs be willing to cross-train to work on the inevitable influx of electric vehicles?
The level of disruption transportation is currently undergoing is unprecedented. The next 5 years will bring more change to the automobile industry than the last 50. The skills gap is just too wide. The average traditional auto mechanic does not possess the core skills to migrate into this new disruptive transportation technology, which now requires software and electronic skills. In fact, it is much easier for a company familiar with electronics repair to make that transition, much like we did.
So automobile manufacturers are scrambling to educate a workforce that can not only design and produce electric vehicles, but also work on them.
UTI, Universal Technical Institute, they partnered with NASCAR Technical Institute to roll out new curriculum for what they called its Ford FACT, Ford Accelerated Credential Training Program. And it's all about working on electric vehicles.
We need to develop the service team of tomorrow. Tesla Start is an intensive training program that equips new technicians with the skills and the expertise needed to be successful and grow their careers at Tesla.
Ford has partnered with Memphis-Shelby County Schools to prepare students for careers at Blue Oval City by providing curriculum, tools, hands-on training, and work-based learning opportunities to speed up the hiring process.
And there's also the challenge of finding people to teach this new crop of automotive service technicians.
After class, Professor Hyde, a former Ford engineer himself, explains that the department has been trying to offer more relevant courses, but it's been hard to find the right professors.
We can't find anybody who's teaching systems engineering for software.
So it is unclear if this EV revolution will actually be the transformation of the industry that many claim will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. The only thing at this point that is clear is that there is a huge push for this by some, and massive amounts of dollars are being spent trying to make this happen. You can find the Multipoint Inspection Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps with the algorithm thingy. Executive producer for the Multipoint Inspection Podcast is David Swan. It is written, produced, and narrated by me, Brandon Barnett. This episode's featured music is Bernice by Tiger Gang. InteliChek. Know your competition.